It's the 2023 Idaho High School Volleyball State Tournament Preview Special on IdahoSports.com. Brandon Baney with Lynnsie, Togiai-Ah, Fook, getting ready to break down the Class 1A D1 State Volleyball Tournament, Lynnsie. This is going to be an interesting discussion, so we'll dive right into it and look at this bracket. This tournament is taking place at Lewis and Clark State College, LCSC, over in Lewiston. And here's the bracket. Troy, the number 1 seed, heavy favorites coming in. They are as close to a volleyball powerhouse as you can get in the state of Idaho. They will play number 8 seed Oakley in the first round. Right above them on the bracket in the 4 versus 5 matchup, it's Genesee and Wallace, all North Idaho there. And then at the bottom of the bracket, Grace, the number 2, will play Liberty Charter, the number 7. And then Murtaugh, the 3 seed, will play Greenleaf Friends, the number 6 seed. And I think any conversation about this bracket, Lynnsie, just for a moment, has to start with a team that's not here, and that's Butte County. They and Grace come from a 3-team district over in District 5-6. That district only got 1 bid to state this year, and Grace outlasted Butte County in an epic championship battle last week. It's just a shame that one of those teams wasn't able to go.
Yeah, and like you said, I think that if you're familiar with this division at all, then you know right away that this is a probably been a tough discussion for a few years now, where, you know, they're such a small district that they've never gotten any more than just 1 seed, but where Butte County has been so good, and so has Grace. You know, they both are top teams in the state in their division, and for them to not get an opportunity to go, for them both to go, that it just seems unfair.
And I mean, this happened last year, and Grace won the district last year as well. And then Grace, as a district champion, had to play a state play-in match.
Right.
And the same thing happened to Wallace this year. Wallace won their district and had to play a state play-in match, which just never sits well with me. Hey, congrats on winning your district. Still got to earn your way to state. Like, well, we already did. we won our district, but it's tough. Yeah, Butte County went 17-3 this year. Grace went 17-2. That's just in Idaho regular season competition. They also played in all sorts of tournaments. But I think we've got to talk about Grace and what they accomplished.
Yes.
Last Thursday, October 19th. They had to first of all play Chalice in a loser out match, and
Yes.
they won that 3-0. Then they play Butte County, where they have to beat Butte County not once but twice, because they had lost. They had just lost to Butte County 2 nights before, 3-2. So they win the first match against Butte County 3-2, and then they win the rematch 3-2. So they played 13 sets over 3 matches. It started around 6:00 at night, Lynnsie. They didn't get done until after midnight. It was crazy.
That's the endurance. That's the endurance right there that coaches, you know, as coach, you hope you have. As a player, you know, you work hard every day, and you know, you try to push to have that. But when it comes down to it, that was truly a night of volleyball to be at. You know, again, we give props to Butte County. I think it's unfair, but you got to give props to Grace for pushing through all of those matches. That just shows what can be done, and you know, it can be done at state too.
So for somebody who, a non-volleyball player like me, describe what that's like to play 13 sets over the span of like 6 hours. And it's not like tournament sets where, yeah, you're trying to win, but you also are, you know, somewhat loose and relaxed. These are do or die, pressure packed. If we lose, we don't get to go to state. Like, high drama. What is that like as a player, physically, emotionally, mentally?
So volleyball's, like you said, very physical, but also very emotional game. And especially where, you know, they were playing their rival all night. That takes a lot out of you. Honestly, you know, you can build up the stamina, you can build your skill sets. But at the end of that, you know, that truly just comes to staying, you know, calm and collected throughout high emotions, throughout the mistakes, throughout the inconsistencies, but making sure that your team is in shape to outlast their opponent if it goes 13 or so sets.
Yeah, the girls on the bench for Grace were putting towels in the ice bucket, and then during timeouts they were like wrapping them around the players because it's like
Yeah,
it's intense. Yeah,
it
it was
is, and they just yeah, you got to keep your head in it, and in that moment, of course, easier said than done, you know. But obviously, you know, with all the battles that they've been through, and Butte as well, that was just such a high emotional game. Seeing all those girls, you know, it's tough.
Yeah, and so congratulations to Grace. They definitely earned their spot at state. That's a night that they'll talk about in Grace for
Oh yeah,
years to come, for sure.
yeah,
So Troy's the 1 seed, Grace is the 2. Those two seem like they're on a collision course, but I would also say Murtaugh, the number 3 seed, is also really talented. And then to me, from those top 3 seeds, there might be a little bit of a drop off. But what do you think?
oh, I definitely agree. I think that as far as the rankings or seedings go into this one, I think that that's pretty fair as far as, you know, just not including Butte County, but that
Right.
is pretty fair there. And then as far as the rest, you know, it hasn't been, you know, um, as great of a season for the rest of the teams that made it. I mean, congratulations, they've made it, but you know, now's the time to really cut out those roller coaster rides, those inconsistencies they've had. Um, but yeah, I agree. I think that Troy definitely has shown what they can do, and they are definitely dominant in volleyball. I mean, again, Grace proved their way, Murtaugh proved their way. Um, the rest, I would say, are more evenly matched from there to each other.
And again, we those other 5 teams are all great, but the top 3 are like historically great. Well, Troy is historically great, like
That's true.
all-time volleyball dynasties, and then Grace and Murtaugh are like exceptionally great, and then the rest are great as well. So
Right.
um I think it's going to be evenly matched outside of that top 3. And again, if I'm wrong, I would love to come back and own it. But
Right.
give me a dark horse outside of that top 3 that you've got your eye on.
So I'm going to say Genesee. Um, I know that they were at state last year, you know, and they made a run there for a little bit. But I mean, it's hard because a lot of those teams are very similar. But you know, anyone can push past anyone at this point. So, you know, we want to wish the best to all teams. Um, just looking for good quality matches. That's all.
Yes, Genesee got to the championship against Troy last year and fell and could certainly do the same this year. Murtaugh took 3rd last year at state as well. The dark horse that I'm looking at is Greenleaf Friends. They are the number 6 seed. They won their district this year. They went undefeated in league play, which is hard, Lynnsie, because unlike Grace and Butte County, who play in a 3-team district, this
Right.
is like this is an 11-team district. So you're
That's
playing a lot of teams
that's
throughout the course of the season, and then it's a huge district tournament as well. So lots of opportunities to stub your toe, and Greenleaf never did, not once. Pretty
okay.
impressive.
That is impressive. Where is that?
So that is in kind of outside Boise. It's
Oh, okay.
in the Treasure Valley District 3. So
Oh,
that's a league that's a lot of kind of like charter schools, but also your smaller communities like Notice and Rimrock and things like that.
okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
I like Greenleaf Friends as my dark horse team. And they've been around as a school since like the early 1900s. They were one of like Idaho's first high schools as well. So
Oh
fun
wow.
fact. Yes. Yes. You didn't think you were going to get a history lesson tonight, Lynnsie. But
Yeah, I didn't know that.
yeah, no. Okay, so here's our 1A D1 players to watch. We picked a player from each team to kind of keep an eye on throughout the weekend. And again, just a jumping off point, we could talk about 6 or 7 different players from all of these great schools. But
Yeah.
here's what we came up with. Mia Scharnhorst from Genesee at districts. She set a new school record for most digs in a game and also most digs in a career. So way to go, Mia Scharnhorst from Genesee.
Wow.
Sydney Smith from Grace dynamic hitter, great athlete. Hope Miller from Greenleaf Friends, kind of one of the captains of the team there. Addie Roscom from Liberty Charter. Addie Stanger from Murtaugh. Chloe Larson from Oakley. Jolie Eklund from Troy, who was the 1A D1 Player of the Year last year. And then Tia Hendrick from Wallace as well. Is there one player on that list you're most excited to watch compete, Lynnsie?
Oh, boy. There's a lot of good names on there again. Probably Sydney Smith from Grace. I mean, I truly am excited to see all of them play. But I think that Grace is a team that, looks to leaders like Sydney, and I think that they'll make a deep run in it with her. So.
Yeah, I mean, they have Melody Stratman, who helps lead the way too. And so there was a lot of good players we left off from Grace and from all these teams. I'm most excited to see Tia Hendrick from Wallace. I think Wallace is kind of sneaky. They're way up north. They kind of get forgotten about sometimes. They won their district and had to win a play-in match. They had to travel all the way down to, I think it was Fruitland, to play their state play-in match, which is a long way to go. So I'm excited to see Tia Hendrick from Wallace compete. Should be a fun time. But okay. Here is the bracket one more time, Lynnsie. Give me your championship matchup and championship prediction.
Okay, so I see Troy and Grace in the championship, and I see it being a close match. And, again, could be wrong because I think it's going to be tight, but I do think Troy can do it.
I think it's Troy's tournament to lose. Deb Blazard, their coach, just does such a great job with those girls year in, year out. For one of the smallest communities in Idaho, it's really incredible to watch this team compete night in, night out. And so
Yes.
I forgot to mention earlier this year they were playing Lapway, Troy was, and I think it was Jolie Eklund, but she was in service, Lynnsie, and she served 25 straight points. Troy won 25-0, and she was in service the entire time. Have you ever seen that before?
I've seen it close to that when I was a player and as a coach. I mean, I've seen 25-3, 25 below 5 things happen. So, I mean, it's definitely something that's, it's good, but also not good for both teams because it just seems very uneven. But you go out there and just having the consistency as that lone server and being able to play out every ball and not make any mistakes, that is impressive.
It's like in basketball when you get hot from the 3-point line and you can't miss, and no matter what the other team does, sometimes they just can't stop you. So
right, yeah.
Yes.
That's why some may look at it as like oh, why did you do that kind of thing, but it's like, if you can, how could you not, right? You don't want to make the mistake. So
that's right. Yep, I totally agree. So my championship prediction, I will go with, just to be different, because I do like Troy and Grace, but also Troy. I'll go Troy and Murtaugh. I'll take Murtaugh in that. They took a top 3 last year, and Genesee, I think, could still maybe get in there too, but to me, it's a clear top 3: Troy, Grace, and Murtaugh. But we shall see. Either way, I think there's going to be some really intriguing semifinals and consolation battles on Saturday in this bracket. Should be a lot of fun. So.
Yes.
All right, that is our 1A D1 state tournament preview. They are playing these matches at Lewis and Clark State College in Lewiston. Lynnsie, thank you for breaking down the 1A D1 bracket for us. We appreciate it.
Good luck, girls.